Welcome to another episode of Fave from Fans, the podcast where we explore all things favorite. I'm your host, Jamie Ray, but you probably knew that already. And today, once again, we have Dr. CodaKhrome himself. Tobias is zooming into the plastic microphone studio to do a bookend episode. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I just want to welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me back. I am excited here to do the sequel.
I know, right? Deuce. And why don't you tell the people what we're going to be doing?
We are going to be taking on our favorite 5 comedies from 1960 on.
Right. And why are we doing 1960 on?
Well, 1960 is a very pivotal year because really that is the beginning of kind of the new Hollywood. Before that, it was a studio system. You know, you signed your contract and you only worked for MGM or Universal or whatever. The 60s saw that studio system explode. And really, 70s began our blockbusters. And that's when we really started getting comedies that weren't just what Cary Grant was doing this week, but now they're actually like big sweeping blockbuster movies that themselves were their own entities. So I really feel that there's after 1960 and beyond, there's a different take on the studio system, hence a different take on what it took to make a comedy.
Got you. And the other reason being that we've already talked about comedies up to and including 1959. So exactly. That's why we're part 2, the sequel.
Exactly. We did our comedies in the studio system, which are still funny and definitely worth exploring and listening to our Fave 5 from that, especially if you're not familiar with older movies, because you'll pick there's some great ones that we both picked. So
we did. And I got you with a couple of them because you were like, but we made our choices and we stood behind them. And I love that. Okay, well, I think that's all we need to do to get started. Like we do. Well, okay, actually, I want to stop for just a minute and preface my list. Okay, so a while back, Andy and Andy's from the Rushmore show, we sat down and did episode 123, which was just Fave comedies. So I made a list of all of my comedies that I really enjoyed. And so when I came to sit down to do this, I thought, maybe what I'm going to do is take those 7, my 5 favorite and 2 honorable mentions, and I'm going to skip them and not go over them again because there's so many comedies out there to love. But before we start on my honorable mentions, back then they were Blazing Saddles and The Kentucky Fried Movie. Wonderful movies. Number 5 was My Cousin Vinny. Number 4 was Raising Arizona. Number 3 was Airplane. Number 2 was Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And my favorite comedy of all time, Young Frankenstein. So, some of those may show up on your list, but none of those are going to be on my list for this show. So, just buckle up. We'll get ready. This will be a whole new list for you if you've ever seen episode 123. 1, 2, 3. I just caught that. So as we always do, we're going to start with honorable mentions. Honorable mentions are those things that we just couldn't keep in the favorite 5, or maybe it was a movie that was just so unique or whatever that we had to talk about it. So Tobias, do you have some honorable mentions?
I do. So my first honorable mention is a movie that is so money it doesn't even know how money it is. I am talking about Swingers, and Swingers I think was very pivotal in the mid-90s because not only did it launch the careers of Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau, as well as director Doug Liman, but it is if I was living in Los Angeles in 1996 when that movie came out, that was my life. I had those friends and everybody driving their car to a party, and then you go to the next party and it's 1 block away and everybody gets in their car and drives away. I mean, there's so many funny little tidbits in that movie that were so Los Angeles of that time. So I guess maybe that's what makes it a little funnier for me, but I had to put an honorable mention for that.
It's a good one.
The next honorable mention is a tie. And I know
Oh,
it's kind of weird to say it, but both of these movies are more for the fact of who is in them and the
okay.
movies being a vehicle for their comedy. And you'll understand when I say first is the Jerky Boys movie,
Okay.
and second is the Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey.
Turtle, turtle.
Both those movies have no plot really. They have their storyline is extremely inane, but yet the Dana Carvey and the Jerky Boys both are so funny in that movie within whatever's going on in that situation. So it's like, again, not like, oh my God, I got to write home to mom about it. But if
Right.
those are on, I will be watching, which actually you can't watch the Jerky Boys movie anymore because it is out of print and it is not
Oh,
around anymore. So
wow.
that's one. If you find that at a tag sale or a Goodwill, pick it up because
Pick it
that's the
up.
only way you're going to see it.
Wow. I love that you chose Master of Disguise because people generally pan that movie all over the place. But you're like the third person that I've talked to that talks about how funny he really was. And all of it. We around this house, you know how things end up in your lexicon at some point or another. For us, it's always turtle, turtle.
I mean, even just like when he, let me introduce you to my little friend. I mean, it's like all the voices that Dana Carvey does, and he figures out a vehicle within the movie to, to accentuate each one of these voices. And Dana Carvey is still hilarious. He's a fellow podcaster now doing the Fly on the Wall
Yeah.
podcast with David Spade, and it is so inside baseball about comedy. If you are a fan of comedy and you haven't listened to that yet, you need to.
Yeah. Tina loves it. She watches it all the time or listens to it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The third honorable mention is this one is a family favorite. As you talk about families and lexicons and movies, this movie is quoted by my mom and my dad and I all the time. What about Bob?
Oh yeah. Oh God, that movie's so
Mentioned
annoying, but it's so funny.
it is so hilarious, and I mean, it's just so. Is this some sort of radical new therapy, Dr. Marvin? I mean, it's like the way Bill Murray is in that movie. It's just, I'm sailing, Dr. Marvin. I mean, it's so funny, and he plays just the way he plays his cluelessness. He's got like a childlike heart at the center of
Yes,
that, and it's just so much fun, and it just he plays it with just reckless abandon, which makes it so much fun to watch for sure.
I agree.
My second honorable mention, this one was really hard. I kept trying to bring it in, but other ones kept pushing it out. The Muppet movie,
Oh my
and
God, the Rainbow Connection.
I mean the Muppet movie. The comedy of Jim Henson was really the first comedy that I was really exposed to. As a kid, the Muppet Show came on the three channels we had on the television on antennas. And I would watch it religiously every week, and I would be on the floor laughing, and my mom would be hysterical too because it had that two levels of comedy in it. And so when the movie came out, we were there on opening night at our local theater, and we went. And I think I made my mom bring me to the theater to see it 5 or 6 times before it was ready to
Wow,
and I knew it. I knew it. The first soundtrack I ever bought was the soundtrack to the Muppet movie. I mean,
that's crazy. Oh, I
yeah.
remember that. My grandmother took me to that movie, and we did an episode a while back about favorite movie candy. And my favorite movie candy was when my grandmother took me to go see the Muppet movie. And as we go in, you see the big thing with the popcorn and all that. And I'm like, oh, Mun. That's what I called her. Mun, can I get some popcorn? She's like, no, no. It's like, okay. And then there's like an icy machine. Oh, okay, can I get an icy? She's like, no, no, we're here to see the movie. And I'm like, okay, you're right. So we go, we sit down, and it gets dark, and the movie's. And about that time, she reaches out and she opens up her purse, and she has lined the inside of her purse with aluminum foil, and she's filled it with popcorn, and then she pulls a foil wrapped, I think it was A&W, but a foil wrapped whole. Oh, it was mug. That's because that's what they bought. It was mug root beer, and she had wrapped it to keep it cold. And she goes, "Shh," and she hands it to me. I sat through the whole movie eating popcorn out of her purse.
How awesome is that, man?
So I'll always remember that.
I just, I mean, just like in the middle of moving right along when it's like, bear left, frog right. I mean, it's just like little things like that are just, they just keep it coming. And I think that's why later on I realized that that's that same influence of the Marx Brothers and Groucho. That's why I love Groucho so much. And as we know from the previous episode, was, my favorite favorite of the favorite five movies. The on the top of the list
Yeah.
was the
Soup?
Marx Brothers.
Was it Duck Soup?
It's Night at the Opera.
Late at the Opera. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And then, the
Yep.
last
What?
of my honorable mentions is I have an affinity. I know some people would take them or leave them, but I have an affinity for Albert Brooks. And Lost in America, I think, is such a freaking hilarious movie. The fact of Gary Marshall in it, he basically decides he's just going to get rid of his whole nest egg, or they're going to get the whole nest egg. He's going to quit life, or they're going to get a Winnebago. They're going to just travel and live out of their Winnebago. First stop out of L.A. is Vegas, and they're not going to gamble. And he wakes up, his wife's missing, goes down at 4 a.m, and she's gambled it all away. And then they just get stuck in Vegas, and it's so funny, that, and especially in that part when it came out in the early 80s, that yuppie movement and that whole and it was really Albert Brooks was very much making fun of that. And I just love that when he goes to Gary Marshall and says, look, I worked in advertising, and I'm going to give you the Caesar's Palace is you're the casino that gives it back sometimes, and we could be the first people that you'll give it back to. It's hilarious. It's that Borscht Belt feeling, lineage of comedy, but it is so funny.
That's good. That's a good one. And I've seen some funny Albert Brooks. What's the one where he is it defending your life?
Yes, when he goes to heaven and they're playing through every single thing he did.
Yeah. That's it. I remember that one. Yeah.
That one was great as well. I really loved that one too.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have two honorable mentions myself. Oddly enough, both of them are from 1992. The first is Wayne's World, the one in the original. That movie just did so much for comedy. Michael Myers, the aforementioned Dana Carvey, and so many people. Rob Lowe, Tia Carrera. You could just sit here and name them all, but it was just to take a skit from Saturday Night Live and turn it not only into one movie but to two movies. It was just so much fun. The way that they would do product placement, I'm not good, just. And then, of course, the scene in the car where they're listening to Queen, just, I mean, it's a quintessential viewing.
There's so much in that movie, and I mean, Alice Cooper doing his cameo, and talking about from Milwaukee, from the Indian Milwaukee. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's really interesting because that movie really kind of then launched for what ended up for the next 15 years this thing with Paramount where they would try other skits, and and then it ended up becoming really bad, like the Mary Catherine Gallagher movie and things like that.
don't say anything about Superstar.
But I mean, it's like Wayne's World really, Mike Myers is a comedic genius. If you don't believe it, he'll tell you. But that aside, he really hit the mark with that one. I mean, it's and then when the Austin Powers, and then you get into the Love Guru, and it's kind of like, where'd it go? Oh, I'm not gonna mention anymore just in case. I can't start mentioning movies because I don't want to hit on anything in case you picked it.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry. That's it. So my other one, also from 1992, is Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act.
Wow.
Love this movie, not just for the comedy of the nuns, because you put her in a in the habit, and sure, ha ha ha, but so many of the characters were just so fully developed, and you had the brothers that were there, along with the nuns, the sisters, and just I love it. We listen to the soundtrack all the time. I have that one and two on DVD and VHS too, I think. I don't know, but I will definitely say that Whoopi did a great job on that movie.
That was Whoopi's heyday.
Yes, it was.
That time, yeah, and
it's before she went on and did The View. That's all I'm going to say.
A young Lauryn Hill in that movie too.
Yes. Oh, or was that two? That was two. Yeah.
Was it two? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just remember it was Sister Act was kind of the first time everybody got a flavor of it, but I didn't know if it was the first or the second one.
Yeah. So the first one is where it's just all about the nuns singing, and the second one is where she comes back and helps them put a choir together, and that's where Lauryn Hill from. Yeah.
There you go. So, I get my Sister Acts confused.
I know it's confused, but that's what I'm here for. I will take you in and help you.
I love that you have it in multiple formats.
Oh man, that's something else. And I think my Sister Act 2 is a sealed VHS that I picked up from somewhere.
As we're in the collectible world, sealed VHSs are now, for some reason, people are buying.
I know. I've got like 8 or 10 sealed things, and I'm just waiting. And whenever I need to buy a new car or something like that, I'll probably just put them all on eBay. And
they're now the hipsters. The hipsters are all buying up cassettes now.
Oh, okay.
And they just had this thing in Brooklyn where they were selling all these cassettes for, some of them went for a few $100s, like hip hop from like 90, 91 on cassette. Like it blows my mind. It's like, I was just like, we were tossing those out when we got our CDs.
Yeah. When we were paying $1,000 for a CD player, it's crazy. Because I worked in a store and we sold some of those, but I couldn't believe. I mean, it sounded great, but it gets scratched and then you got to throw it away anyway. So
yeah. Anyway,
all right. So those are our honorable mentions. What say you give me your number 5?
Number 5. So number 5 on the list is a very quirky movie. Okay. This movie came out. It was a music video director who got the okay to direct it. It stars Mos Def and Jack Black and Danny Glover.
Okay.
It is came out in the 2000s era, and it is about a guy whose uncle Danny Glover owns a video store, and basically what happens is that one of the tapes, they don't have the latest tape for somebody to rent, so he goes out and makes it. And somebody rents it, and they said, well, it's not like the original Ghostbusters. He goes, no, it's the sweeted version. And then it becomes the whole thing where they start doing sweeted versions of all these films. The name of the film, I forgot, is Be Kind, Rewind.
All right. Okay. I was wondering which one it was.
And Jack Black in prime Jack Black era, Mos Def doing amazing at comedy, even though he's a hip hop artist and he does amazing dramatic work, really taking a fun turn in this. And Danny Glover, of course, always awesome as in any movie he does. And it's just such a quirky movie, but I love it. And it has been out of print. It's another one that has been out of print because of the rights of a lot of the movies that they were making fun of, lapsing. And I was at a tag sale and I found somebody had a copy of it for like $2 on DVD. And I think I squeed. So I bought it. But yeah, that's my number 5. That one, Jack Black in that movie cracks me up. The only other movie he cracks me up in is Nacho Libre. And
oh
man.
Did you happen to see the one that came out this past Christmas called like Dear Santa? Where I didn't laugh out loud, but I thought he did a really good job in that movie.
The jokes were very easy to see coming around the bend. And that's the thing. That's what really frustrates me now about a lot of comedy. One of two things. Either you see all the good jokes in the trailer, or it's just the comedy is just, well, I guess also, and I'm sure we can, depending on what your other Fave Five are, but there's some like Blazing Saddles like you had on your last Five, right?
Right.
That movie is problematic for today's society. You know
So
what I mean?
many.
Because
Oh,
it's like it doesn't affect us, but it's like, because of other movements and things and the way people are now in socially, it's a hard movie to watch in a group.
yeah.
And so I think that uh, uh, as well, that I think that's affected some of these comedies, and that was directed by the Farrelly brothers,
Hmm.
who are known for a lot of their gross out and really riding that line comedy.
Right.
And the jokes there just weren't there like they were like something about Mary or like that. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's difficult talking about that because there are so many funny movies from our age that if you look at them through today's eyes, yeah, they're offensive, they're racist, or they're in poor taste, stuff like that. But it's a comedy. It's
right.
you're supposed to make fun of people or make fun of situations, and I know a lot of comedians talk about that because they step out of line, they get canceled. Um,
It's
I
hard. I mean,
just
Dana Carvey on his podcast talks about how some of the characters he did on SNL would like
oh yeah,
totally get him canceled right now.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean? So I mean, it's like, but it's like he wasn't. He's like, I wasn't making fun of the race. I was just making
no,
fun of the character, like a
that's
character.
exactly right, exactly right. But I can understand why some people today might see that from back then and go, you know, eh,
Out
it's
of
just
context. Out of
yeah,
context, it's
yeah,
horrendous sometimes.
exactly, exactly. So. Well, okay. Well, if that is your number five, I'm going to have to come back with a movie, my oldest movie on this list from 1988. It's getting a reboot. It's about to come out. I'm talking about The Naked Gun, Police Story with Leslie Nielsen. Um, there are so many gags in this movie. And I think a lot of them will still make you chuckle. But it's just so funny because I used to watch the Tales from the Police Squad, and the way that they took that and incorporated it and made this whole movie out of him. And Leslie Nielsen was a comedic genius. I mean, he played that, and then George Kennedy, and are we allowed to say O.J. Simpson anymore? Because
If you've seen the trailer for the new one, they
I
definitely
did. I thought that was hilarious. A good nod.
I can see your wheelhouse just from hearing for your last Fave Five, and then hearing this at number five. I see where your comedy,
Uh huh.
Funny Bone lies,
Yep.
and the Abrams brand there, from the airplane to the police squad.
Yeah.
When I saw the remake, that there was a remake, immediately I shuddered
Yeah.
because really I was like, who? And then it says from Seth MacFarlane, and I go,
Uh-huh.
okay,
Okay. Okay. And then you see not Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson. And then first of all, you think Liam Neeson and Leslie Nielsen, they almost sound alike. So it was just kind of weird. And then
and
the trailer, when it's the little girl just hopping into, they captured the essence of what he was, but being his son, he can have his own spin, on it. I thought it was brilliant.
and really, if you think about it too, it was great casting because Liam Neeson coming out of like playing these roles of I would find you and kill you. Leslie Nielsen, for us that are of a certain age and younger, we just think of him as his goofball. But if you
Right.
watch older films of his, he was a very serious dramatic actor.
Oh yeah. I can't. He was in a lot of like Irwin Allen type disaster films. I
Yep.
picked up one called The Night on the Bridge, where he's actually the bad guy. You know.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I think that was a great nod as well of bringing Liam Neeson in because you don't
Yes.
expect Liam Neeson to do comedy like that, and I think he just seeing how he makes fun of himself and his
Yeah.
characters,
Yeah.
just like on late night shows and stuff. Like they'll be like, do the voice and order a pizza. I will find you and kill you if you don't put my sausage on there. Like, I mean, it's like, that I think that was great.
Well, one of the things that starts to make sense is when you say that Seth MacFarlane's doing this one. Did you ever see Ted 2?
I didn't. I've seen Ted 1. I haven't seen 2.
So there's an amazing scene where Ted is working in a grocery store, and Liam Neeson comes up with a jacket on, and he's got something in there. And Liam Neeson comes up and he grabs something and he pulls it out, and it's a box of tricks. And he sets it down on the counter with that savage, just totally serious look. He says, "It's been my understanding that these are made for kids. As an adult, is there any issue if I were to consume these tricks that are made for kids?" And Ted is just like, "No, man, no, it's fine. You can do it." He's like, because if I can't remember how the whole thing goes, but just deadpan the entire time. And I'm sure that after they filmed that Seth, the wheels started to, what can I do with this guy,
100%.
So if you ever get a chance to watch the second one, it's not as good as the first one. But that scene alone is worth watching the movie for.
Very rarely are they. Like Wayne's World 2, for example, as well.
Yeah. But Wrath of Khan, exceptions to the rule.
Empire Strikes Back. I mean, come on.
Aliens.
Yeah. I know it does.
But actually, Aliens not a better movie. It's just a completely different, awesome movie than the first Alien. So yeah. So, all right. So now let's flip back over. We are at your number 4.
All right, number 4. I just mentioned them just briefly when we talked about Dear Satan instead of Santa. The Farrelly Brothers, and I have to go with my number 4 being their premiere movie, Dumb and Dumber. You have, of course, Jeff Daniels and, of course, Jim Carrey. And that movie hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, that movie, and really, because we're used to Jim Carrey that way, but
right.
Jeff Daniels,
I know.
Oh my God, the way that even to this day, he will tell you that Lloyd is one of his favorite characters, because he just plays it so well. Because he's kind of the straight man of the two, even though he's a goofball as well.
Right.
But he is playing it so well, and the two of them just really give each other so much room to breathe.
Yeah.
Within that, again, the sequels I feel didn't capture that magic as well as the first. But I'm even like the. I was just thinking, but you sold a blind kid your dead parent, and then they cut to, "Hey, Petey, good bird." It's just, what I mean? It's just, it's like something about Mary and Kingpin as well. I call that the kind of the Farrelly Brothers trifecta. But Dumb and Dumber made my list because it's number 4, because it's just, maybe it's just because it was the first time you were
right.
Toss the salt over your shoulder. What the hell? Kick his ass, Seabass. Seabass was, by the way, Cam Neely, hockey player. So, it's really, I really feel that the Farrelly Brothers had some great magic.
And,
that Dear Santa movie with Jack Black was just one of the brothers, and I think that it showed, because I think that they probably bounced off each other's jokes instead of just one writing.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good one. Okay. Well, I'm going to go to number 4, which I'm going to call it a comedy, but as things progress in our country, it might actually be called a documentary. And I'm talking about 2006's Idiocracy. Now, have you seen this one?
I've seen bits and pieces, but
okay,
I'm kind of afraid to watch it, because it rings so true these days.
It really, really does. And so one of the coolest stories, because I'm always trying to pull out a fun fact, is that when they were making the costumes for the people in the future, they got with one of the designers and they said, we need a shoe for dumb people. So no laces, just something that they can slip on and wear around. And they created what became the Croc. That's the first time you see them is in Idiocracy. And now they're everywhere.
Everywhere. And I know
Everywhere.
there's a couple
But
other things that ring, like, like a reality star was the president or something, or yeah, I mean, it just, but it's also, again, as we talk about comedy, and I hope by this time I'm not boring you with my love of
oh,
comedy and facts, but you're talking Mike Judge there in Idiocracy. And Mike Judge, again, Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill to
yeah.
Office Space. I mean, he over and over again captures a slice
Yes.
of America. And really, even though you're looking at that going like, wow, he predicted the future, I think he really was just saying, like, this is the way I could see things progressing, because he
Right.
has a great beat on just characters. I mean, the King of the Hill were the guys that were all in his neighborhood when he rented an apartment with another guy, and he said that the guy, there was like his fence broke one day, and the guy comes over and he goes, "Oh no, you're doing that wrong," and he starts talking like Hank Hill, and he's like, "You're gonna have to use the gazinka gazunk instead of this." And then his buddy comes over and goes, "What you doing?" "Oh, his fence broke." He says, "I went inside and cracked open a beer and watched TV, and they're fixing my fence for me." But
Yeah, that's the kind of neighbors you need.
But I mean, it's like you live in certain neighborhoods that's
Yeah,
true to life.
for sure. For sure. Well, all
That's
right.
awesome.
Well,
Great pick, man. Idiocracy.
thank you. I love that movie. I have it on DVD. I pop it in every once in a while. And it's just, oh God, it's just so telling, I just,
Can we just do a quick detour? I have a question for you.
sure.
How many times do you find yourself actually putting in a DVD versus flipping around streaming versus spending most of your time that you'd have set aside to watch something just flipping around going, yeah, but no, maybe there's something better?
No, no. So back here, that's all physical media. That's just part of my physical media. Okay. That's mostly VHS, but it also has all of my Arrow Blu-rays, all my HD DVDs, and some other stuff. So I have a Blu-ray player here for my computer, and then you see behind me, right in there is a
Did you say Arrow?
Arrow video, like.
Like you failed the city Arrow?
No, oh yeah, like Green Arrow. So that's the name of the company, is Arrow Video.
I was going to say, because you definitely did not fail that city if you have the whole series on DVD. Wow.
Yeah, that's true. So I will watch streaming stuff, but I also, from Arrow Video, every year, like at least once, if not twice, they have 50% off sales. So like you can maybe see how that's yellow and white and black. Those are all giallo film collections. So there's like 4 movies in each one of those, from Fulci and Bava and Argento and some of the greats from Italy. And I love that genre. So they'll come on there and I'll pick them up. I mean, I think I bought all 4 of them last time and got them for just like, I don't know, $30 a piece.
And I felt when I was trying to put this list together, it was actually very hard to find some of these titles as I was going through in and out, because I did rely on streaming or rely on other, and didn't have the DVDs, or I had the DVD and then I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like
I
trying to search for it, and it's like really hard. Like one of them, in fact, the next one, I'm not going to tell you yet, but the next one, I had to actually I had actually did a digital rip of the DVD and went through like 5 external drives and finally found it and was like, oh, just so I can watch it again and experience it.
Yeah. I will watch a lot of physical media. just because, like I said, I set myself up. I've got two monitors here. So if I'm working on something, I'll throw a movie up here. And generally, it's not going to be a movie that I've never seen before. It's going to be something that, it's comfortable or whatnot, and I'll put on there. And I'll do that with most of the movies. As a matter of fact, my number 3 is a movie that gets played in heavy rotation. At least the first 3 or 4 of them are. But no. So I do. The one thing I did do is because I had so many DVDs and they took up so much space. I went to like Office Depot and bought these long boxes and all of these plastic sleeves. So I took out the DVDs, put them in those sleeves, and then alphabetized them. So whenever we want to go to watch a movie, we'll go grab that first, see if it's in there. And if it's not, then it's only going to be in 1-2 places, either here or in our bedroom where my dad made a cabinet for me.
I give you credit. I have a hard time. Like I end up like leaning on streaming, and then like I'm sitting there and like, no, I don't want to watch that one. Or like I'll start like the first 3 minutes or something. I'll be like, yeah, no, I don't want to watch that. And then I flip. And by the time I actually sit down to like start watching something, like an hour's gone by.
Yeah.
And, and so I think that I personally, I miss that blockbuster experience of like, you know what, you took the movie home for the night and you're stuck with it. It's that, or you're watching whatever's on channel 2, 4, or 7.
Dude, I used to work in a video store, and I remember just, the people coming in and stuff, and, paying whatever it was, $20 to rent 3 movies or something. And I was so lucky there for that, like, about 1.5 year period. I watched everything. I mean, anything in the store, I'd take it home and, watch so much stuff. So I think that's part of that, where that love of the physical media comes from. Plus, it's something to have. I will tell you, Tina told me a story about a friend of hers whose daughter who's about, I don't know, 14 or so. They wanted to watch a movie. And the friend was like, "Oh, you know what? I think I have that movie. It's on DVD." And the kid literally went, "Ew, DVD. Let's just stream it."
Well, give that kid about another 5 to 10 years, and DVDs will be hip again, and everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still waiting for CEDs to come back.
Well, all you need to do is experience your Wi-Fi being down for more than 10 minutes, and you're scrambling looking for this stuff because we are so spoiled in being able to stream stuff with Spotify or Netflix or whatever. So I mean, it's again, it's like trying to find that special movie, and like you have all that, like those Italian movies, things that wouldn't be on Netflix necessarily. Right. But conversely, I'm now also seeing a lot of cinema that I probably wouldn't have seen if I was going down to my local video store. Like I love Bollywood movies. And
really? Yeah, Netflix has a ton of them.
Oh, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and even Disney Plus.
Really?
Had a great one called Brahmastra, which was like, if you imagine the Avengers mixed with a Bollywood movie, it was amazing.
Have you seen the Russian Avengers movie?
No.
Yeah, there's one of those out there too.
Oh my gosh. Well, I thought that was the Thunderbolts. I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers. I'm always the last one to actually get to it.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I don't throw that around seriously, but it was a lot of fun. It had a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy feel to it, without just the way it made you feel about the characters and stuff.
I'm very hopeful seeing that with Thunderbolts, and really what I've been seeing so far from James Gunn's take on Superman.
Yeah,
I'm really hopeful that we're going to get some air brought back into the comic book genre and movies, because we were watching last night. My daughter, who's 13, my wife's like, "All right, why don't we watch a Twilight movie?" And so we all sat down as a family and started watching a Twilight movie. And it was like all of us are looking at each other like, "This is horrible." Oh, you love it?
No, I'm sending my love to you that you had to sit there and watch it.
But it's just like, even back when it came out, I didn't realize how bad the acting was until you're watching it. And then, like, my oldest daughter, she sent this video of like somebody put cats acting out the scene, one of the scenes or something in Twilight. And I'm like, the cats are acting better than
Yep.
than they were. Like,
One of my favorite memes ever is there's two of them sitting like on a hill or something, and they're like have that mournful look at each other, and Blade is standing in the background, and it's like how the movie should end.
this is like, and like to me, it's like I love Taylor Lautner. I think the kid just
Okay.
I thought he got dealt a bad deal because he was funny in the Magnificent whatever the Sandler movie Western.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Magnificent Eight or something.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
been funny in like other parts, and but
Uh-huh.
it's like, those movies just really, I think, killed his career
Yeah.
because everybody just thinks of him as Twilight.
Yeah. Everybody. We actually, when the first one came out on DVD, my oldest daughter was probably I don't know, maybe junior high. So we had a party where she invited a bunch of girls to come over, and they all watched Twilight 3 times that
Oh.
night.
So I
God.
mentioned that. I mentioned that to say, like, if you remember, before Iron Man came out, that was all the rage, and there was like a ton of different like vampire love story type
Mhm.
movie things going on, and it's like, and Hollywood is like a Baby Huey, and it will sit on a genre and it just, remember Baby Huey from the cartoon? You
Oh yeah,
sit on
yeah,
something and just suffocate it, and that's what Hollywood does. And I think that Baby Huey was really sitting on comic book genre really
yeah.
bad. And you and I, being comic book fans, it's like our worst nightmare because we're finally, we grew up on the Lou Ferrigno Hulk and game. That's awesome. And when you
Yes,
see this stuff now, you're like, mind's blown, and I want to continue,
right.
and I love the fact, and this is the last thing, I know I'm going on a weird tangent here. I'm
That's what
really
it's all
sorry,
about.
listeners. Is that everybody kind of complains sometimes how, well, you have to watch this Marvel movie to see this Marvel movie. Well, as a Marvel fan, that was the way it was. If you want to
Yeah,
know how Spidey got his black costume, you got the little note that said "See Secret Wars 8 Jim,"
right.
and it's like you had to sometimes follow story arcs from AS Amazing Spider-Man to
Oh,
Fantastic Four to
all the
Daredevil,
time, all the
and
time.
that is that's the Marvel way to me. And
Yeah.
I get so angry when people complain about that fact, like, oh, I'm gonna have to go watch Doctor Strange if I want to know what's happening in Spider-Man. It just,
Well,
that, and the fact that everybody complains whenever a freaking new Star Wars, like, you get 6 new hours of Star Wars, and everybody, all they do is bitch and moan about it. Pardon
yeah,
my French. But you know what? You and I, Jamie, we had to wait 3 years for another hour and a half of Star Wars. All
that's
right,
right.
or more. So
That
you
was
guys
it.
suck it.
I
I'm not.
remember. I remember. And that's
Like,
one of the reasons why I think, I always get off on this tangent that kids today just don't understand, how much movies meant to us back then, because there wasn't an internet. You couldn't go and trade theories. All you could do was buy a Starlog or a Fangoria and then pass that around with your buddies. And then, that was it. You couldn't go look it up. And like you said, we'd be excited if a year in we would get 2 pictures from the set that somebody had snuck, and that was it.
and how creepy was it that we used to send our addresses with our letters to be printed in Marvel?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have some friends that are published there. One of them actually won, what was it called? The No Prize prize?
Yes.
Yep.
When you
Yeah.
figure out something and they send you the no prize,
That's it.
Yeah, you gotta know.
Well, okay. Well,
That was awesome. Sorry for that tangent, everybody.
no. Was that your number 3? No.
No, I haven't gotten to my number 3 yet. We're
Okay.
on number 3s now.
Let's do your number 3.
My number 3, I was just watching. This is the movie that I had to go and dive deep to try and find. Neil Simon movie. It's not The Odd Couple, though Odd Couple is funny. I love Mathau and Lemon. You will, if you do listen to my pre-60s comedies. Some Like It Hot was in the top 5. Some Like It Hot was in my favorite 5.
That's your one.
And so it's like, so for me, I do really enjoy Jack Lemmon. In this movie, when I saw it on TCM, I was glued to my television the first time I saw it. And Again, I was watching it the other night, falling asleep, woke up and my bowl of cereal, finished it. The Out of Towners. Now,
Oh,
it
okay.
is to me one of the funniest Neil Simon works he's ever done, and I really feel that it's not just Jack Lemmon who makes it so funny,
Uh,
but it is Sandy Dennis who plays his wife and does
okay.
an amazing job of being the straight man as this guy is like frazzling, like going nuts. And he's making every time he makes a decision, it's the wrong one, and it just catapults them into more and more mayhem. Every decision he makes. It's also for me being a New Yorker, it's so much fun to see New York in circa 1969, which is a lot of fun as well.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you that I Jack Lemmon is just so genius in this movie, and it. But if neurotic people hit you, you won't like this movie because he's just so neurotic the whole movie. Like
Uh,
one thing, there's that kid's book. If you give a mouse
a
if you give
cookie.
a mouse a cookie, and like then the next thing, and like this movie is that. Like if your flight does not land in New York but is diverted to Boston, you're gonna have to find a way to New York. You're gonna have to get on a train, but if you get on the train, everybody else does. And, you know what I mean? And it's like a snowball that just keeps rolling. And the fact that if he gets about halfway the movie, if he just made the other decision, just sit tight and just wait and be
Right.
patient, it would all work out. But then we wouldn't have a movie.
Right. Right.
And they made a remake of it with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn, and God bless the two of them. It is horrendous. It is
Uh,
really bad. It's in that era of Steve Martin, like, because he went and like he had The Jerk and like Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid and like these really funny movies. And then he went into that era where he was like doing like Yours, Mine, and Ours and like these like family movies and like
yeah.
weird movies. I kind of say it was that left detour after LA Story where it just kind of got a little weird. And, I'm glad he's back again. Only Murders in the Building. He's funny again.
I heard.
Yeah. But that movie, the Out of Towners remake, was horrendous. Do not watch it. If you want to watch it, you want to laugh your ass off. The original is, and that's why it's my number 3 on my top. Number 3 on my favorite.
Okay, that's a quarter. That's a quarter. Just saying.
I'm sorry, I got so excited talking about this movie.
So I can also see kind of where your beltway comedy is going, and so this one is going to be right in line with my other stuff. It is a stupid movie. I will say that right away. But I have of 4 of the 5 on DVD, and I watch them whenever I just want to throw something on. But my favorite of those has got to be from 2000. It's Scary Movie, where it just makes fun of so many movies, but especially it makes fun of Scream and uses it, in a bunch of different ways. It's comedy gold, in my opinion. Yeah, is it some fart jack?
Is that a Wayans in that movie?
No, that's called Another Haunted House, I think. They are in it. I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. There's like Damon and Marlon and who's the oldest one? I think he's directing it. But then they kind of spread off. But
yeah, there's too many Wayans.
there's too many Waynes. But it's a hilarious movie. The second one is great. The second one has Tim Curry in it. And God, what's that other guy's name? Anyway, but Anna Faris is kind of like the thread that goes through all of them. And I just, like I said, it's stupid, but I just love them. So I'm going to choose Scary Movie from the 2000.
That's awesome. All right.
All right. So we can stop and take a quick break and talk about what you've got going on and what you've got coming up, or should I say what we have coming up?
Oh man, we have like We have like the World Series of comic shows in our
Yes, we
future. It's
do.
like in our bullseye crosshairs right now, isn't it?
Yep. Heroes Con 2025, baby. So
Man,
excited. Shout out to Kirk. He and I go every year now. This year, he lives in Shreveport, which is about 3 hours from here. And so I used to drive up to his place and we'd fly out together. But this year I'm going to fly from here. He's going to fly from there and we're going to meet up in Atlanta. But such a great show. It's where I got to meet you finally in person. Absolutely, just it's the best show, and you do pretty well there, huh?
yeah, and you know, it's really it's funny because if you're looking for me, I am all the way at the end of the convention center, at the end of an aisle, and it was really nice. So like a lot of shows these days are run by conglomerates,
Right.
corporations. And you know, and what I always hate about that is that the buck is passed and it just keeps going and going. There's really two, well, I could say three shows that I know the promoters very well, and they are true fans. And
Yeah.
Heroes Con is one of those shows. Sheldon Drum has been doing it for years. I mean, he was one of the original guys back when you'd see the ads in your comic books saying like Robert Bell and those guys, you know, send for a list of comic books and
Yeah.
Mile High Comics with their price lists in the comic books. And Sheldon Drum was doing that in Charlotte, North Carolina. And that show is 40 years old now. Isn't that
Yeah. I think it's
correct?
the anniversary this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and so the fact that not only can you just look the guy in the eye and shake his hand, but he does it and he looks you in the eye and he'll, in the middle of a con, which if anybody knows, if you've run even a small party, that all the whatever's can happen that mess things up, he'll look you in the eye and give you a minute of his time and say,
Yeah.
hi, how are you? And you know
All right.
what? He is a true Southern gentleman. And that just filters down to that show. And he brings in so many artists that
So
there
many.
you are not going to find, even New York Comic Con does not have the breadth of artists that he has in that room.
Yeah. Because they all know it's about the comics. There's no wrestlers. You know, it's all about the comics.
It's all about the comics, and you know, and it has the biggest artist alley I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
It
It's
stretches the
crazy.
whole length of the convention center, and you have. And now I will say that this year I'm actually hosting three artists in my booth.
Oh
So
wow.
I'm now bringing in three artists who I really love. Robbie Pelletier, RZP Art. He does like graffiti style stuff on like metal signs, and he makes Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle paintings on pizza boxes. And you open it up, and he even paints the pizza inside the box.
That's cool.
He is a really awesome new up and coming artist. He's been doing a lot of covers lately, and just at Fan Expo Chicago, or no, Fan Expo Dallas, which is this weekend. He's going to be. He's got like 6 or 7 covers coming out, variant
Wow.
covers, which is real. I'm so proud of him. I have Dawson Weidrich. He's going to, as another artist as well from the Virginia area. He actually just relocated out to Kansas. He's coming out for his first Heroes Con. And then I think David Sanchez is going to be with me as well. David Sanchez, a very well known name, drawing for a lot of variant covers for IDW, as well as a few other independent publishers. He's out of the Texas area, and
Okay.
I think I will be hosting him in my suite in my
That's
booth as well.
awesome.
So
That's awesome.
it's kind of cool because it's like you know, people say my stuff is art, but I always say if I was actually drawing art, it would look like stick figures. I just
You
take
and me
what the
both.
artist, yeah, and I just take what the artist does and I kind of remix it, you know, with
Mhm.
what I do. But it's also amazing to be able to work with artists and
Yeah.
host their original art, not only in my pieces, but also be able to have them in a booth with me as well. And that's all thanks to Heroes Con and believing in me and what I do. So, I mean,
It's a great show. It's a great show.
if you
And
are a
can't wait to
comic
hook
book
up.
fan, and if you're a comic book fan and you have a checklist of artists that you'd like to get signatures from, I'm willing to bet 90% of those artists on your checklist
Yeah.
will be in that room.
It's where
And
I
that's
finally got a Joe Jusko.
really
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, he only does a lot of he only does stuff around the New York area because he doesn't really travel much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So I was extremely happy.
Garcia Lopez as well. Very rare do
Oh
you see
yeah.
Garcia Lopez, and he will be there again this year. I
Wow.
have a buddy that flies in from Dallas, Texas, just to be a kid in a candy store, and every once in a while I tell him you got to watch my booth while I use the bathroom, but I tell him
Uh-huh.
to go and have fun, and he's a huge fan, and he's like, this is the only show. He never comes to Texas, you
Yeah.
know. So many of those guys, they'll do here. Howard Mackey is doing. He's only doing 2 shows this year, and one
Wow.
of them is Heroes Con. So I mean, it's really, he's a guy. He just went through some medical stuff, so I'm happy that he'll be there because
Good.
Howard Mackey. Have you ever he does?
Yeah, I know of him. I've never met him though.
Oh, you got him. He looks like Sean Connery when you meet him.
Oh, really?
He's very.
Well, he looks like me. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
He's
Handsome like me.
He's a very handsome gentleman. He's a handsome devil, and but he wrote a lot of Ghost Rider. He created Danny Ketch. Ghost
Oh,
Rider.
okay.
And he wrote and is still writing stuff now for Marvel. So
Wow. Yeah, I got to meet. Of course, I've met him before, but I got to meet Mike Grell, and like seriously sit down and have a little talk with him. And just so Scotty Young was there. God, his line was so long.
I met Mike Grell at Lexington.
Oh yeah.
Show. And I actually made a piece, a CodaKhrome kaleidoscope of his covers.
Oh wow.
And gave it to him.
That's
and
awesome.
I got a picture of him holding it up. He loved it. I've done that. I'll do that now for a lot of the older creators because I think it's just like a little like memento, like a thank you of like, thank you for what you've done. Joe Staten, I did some of his Guy Gardner stuff for him and made him a kaleidoscope of that. He actually cried when I gave it to him.
Oh,
He was
well, it's amazing work. I've got 2 or 3 of your pieces, and I'm sure I'm going to pick another one up this year.
Right on. Well, if you have any requests, just let me know a week or 2 ahead.
I will. I
have to definitely. Speaking of Mike Grell, I have to have a Green Arrow piece in my inventory for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
Somebody will pick it up.
I always remember I have to have a Green Arrow, and I always have to have the dysfunctional bat children.
Oh,
Which I love. Somebody said to me, "Do you have anything with the dysfunctional bat children?" And I looked at them for a minute. They go, Batgirl, Red Hood, Robin, Nightwing. I'm like,
yeah, they're all messed up.
I'm like, that's true. It's a dysfunctional family.
And they all have one thing in common. What is that? Well, all right. Well, I think if you're ready, I'm ready. We can get down together and we're going to start talking about. Okay, you ready? You ready? Our penultimate choices. That means our number 2.
Ooh,
so lay it on me.
In England, that's a bad thing. You know that, right? That's like giving the finger in England, right?
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, that's like one of these. Yeah.
You know what it comes from?
Nope.
It came from the English-French War. That the French were using bows and arrows, and the English weren't, and the English were winning. So they were going, we don't have to use.
Oh, that's smart.
It turned into like kind of like giving somebody the middle finger over there. So
that's funny.
All right. Number 2. Number 2 is a movie. I saw this movie in the theater. I really did not know much about what was behind it or the person who was in it. I just knew it looked really interesting and funny and quirky and weird. 1985, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
So good.
And it's just from the Tim Burton like view of it to the fact that only later did I realize Phil Hartman wrote the script with Paul Rubin.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Phil Hartman. If you listen to, if you are a fan of Phil Hartman at all from SNL, The Fly on the Wall, they did a tribute to Phil Hartman, and it was a 2-episode podcast. And when you hear about the heavy lifting that guy did, and the fact that, if you know the Saturday Night Live, the way that they are, it's like it's frantic to basically all
Yeah.
week to write to Saturday. He'd be going like gone skiing or on a motorboat somewhere, and like kind of just pull in Friday night, give in a couple things, and he would just nail these skits.
Wow.
And it was, so he very much a comedic genius, and I realized a lot of that magic of Pee-wee's Big Adventure was Phil Hartman's comedy writing with Paul Rubens, which the two of them were a part of the LA Groundlings together. I think it was the Groundlings.
Okay.
But that's where Pee-wee started doing Pee-wee Herman character, and Phil Hartman would come out as the captain. I forget his name.
Okay.
But yeah, so that groundwork, that foundation was laid for that script to just be so genius. And character, I mean, it's like things to this day that are just now a part of the collective pop culture psyche. Anybody ever mentions the Alamo, what's the first thing everybody asks? So
Where's the basement?
Is there a bike in the basement? I mean, it really, it led to, almost Pee-wee overdose in pop culture, I guess, in the 80s. And then we all, of course, know what happened to Paul Rubens when he decided to take some time off, which kind of tarnished it a little bit. But I was really happy to see, before he passed away, him kind of be able to come full circle again. And a lot of people just really kind of saying, like, at this point, like, look, you know what, who hasn't? Let's just move on. He's a genius. And the other thing I found out about him is that he had a list and knew everybody. Like, if you met him and were more than just like a cashier at a store, if you were an acquaintance, he knew your birthday, and he would always he would call everybody and leave them a message for their birthday on their voice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I mean, it's like you just sit there and you realize that he just really, he had such an amazing heart to those that he called friends. And there's that in the character of Pee-wee, again, like I kind of talk about in some of these other movies, there's heart there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like amongst that all, hey, there is that heart there, that childlike wonder and heart.
Right. Well, too, he was not just comedy. I mean, Buffy the Vampire Slayer will always just be. I mean, he was so good in that, And
he was also on one of my. I've had a 15 or 20 honorable mentions on my list.
I know
for this, but it's like another one that was on my honorable mention list is Mystery Men. And he put in Mystery Man. I mean, it's like, he was just so freaking hilarious.
Yeah. So, and I never knew, but he and Elvira were huge friends.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Cassandra Peterson.
Sandra Peterson.
Which I heard she's very nice to meet.
She is, though, as it happens too often, her politics have just, it's, hey, it's your platform or whatever. But when it starts showing up in the comics and stuff,
I
just don't want.
It's hard because it's just, especially where we are now today, it's so either black or white or left or right. And there's a gentleman I talk to I admire a lot. He is a promoter and he's an entrepreneur, and he's just like, look, one of my biggest secrets is that if you ask me anything where God has me to choose a side, I tell you I'm Switzerland.
Yeah.
Because he's like, if I go one way or the other, I automatically alienate 50% of people that,
it's true.
So it's hard that way, and I know that I was just at a show that hosted Dean Cain, and there was Dean Cain, I think, has also kind of gotten very political lately and taken sides.
He and Sorbo have both gone really right.
And so it's like, it's just really kind of hard because it's, the promoters now, he's just thinking of it, dude, it's Superman.
Yeah.
And it's,
exactly.
It's like somebody asked pose a really fun question. Can you listen to bands after they start spouting their mouth about politics, or do you find it hard to hear their music? You know what I mean? It's like that same sort of like vein, but with music. It's like, I know that it's like I listen to a Don Henley song and I'm still hearing him complaining about carbon monoxide in fossil fuels.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't just listen to The Last Worthless Evening.
Right. Well, okay, so let me give you my penultimate choice. Penultimate. That's my number 2, and I'm sure you've seen this movie from 2007. It's part 2 of the 3-part trilogy. This one is Hot Fuzz.
I've not seen it.
You've not seen it. You've seen Shaun of the Dead, though.
No.
Okay, I'm going to let that slide, though. So this is
I didn't see Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That was
fun. That's a great one. So
that was on my honorable mentions.
So Simon Pegg and Nick Frost were in Shaun of the Dead, that was directed by
So one where they're cops, right?
Right. This is the second one, and it's all so much of the same cast is in it, but
they're not connected. It's just
right. It's just the same actors with completely different roles.
Kind of like the Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show. It's like a cast that works well together, and they just change the premise.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so this one, Nicholas Angel, who is the Simon Pegg character, he outperforms everybody in the London Police Department. And so he makes all of the rest of them look bad. So they end up shipping him out to a small little hamlet where there's never anything, going on. And he sees it. He comes in and he brings that whole militaristic, police rigid to it, and it just doesn't go over well. And then there starts to be a series of killings that are done by, this one cloaked, mysterious killer. But nobody wants to believe him. So it goes on and on. Well, he meets up with the Nick Frost character, whose dad is the police captain, and they form a bond. And it's just, it's hilarious. So many police references. But not just that, it's like, it's this little hamlet. I mean, the pastor, and the lady who does it. It's just, I love it. So again, that's one of the ones that I'll put up over here and do over and over again.
So it's interesting because Simon Pegg, I really feel, is so awesome in anything he takes on. I think he's amazing as Scotty in the new Star Trek.
Oh, yes, for sure.
And then really him and Ving Rhames are the reason I like to continue to watch the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah. I thought they brought a lot of zing to the movies that it was missing.
Simon Pegg in these movies is just, I'm just watching him just to see what he's doing next. And, the movies because Tom Cruise can just eat a goat for all I care. Anyway, it's just, I guess that I have to say that it just never. What's the third one in those movies? If Shaun of the Dead, you have the Hot Fuzz.
Oh, it's called the something at the end of the world.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, that's for me. That's the weakest one.
Yeah, there you go. That one I think is funny because they were like making fun of Hollywood, weren't they?
Oh yeah, big time. But it's a great movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's of the three, it's definitely, in my opinion, the weakest of the three. Right. Shaun of the Dead being the best. I mean,
I have to say that the Shaun of the Dead for me, I get that mixed up with is it Zombieland?
Yeah.
Because didn't they kind of come out around the same time, or am I?
I believe you're right.
Because it's like it's one of those things in my head. Like if there's like 3 Comet movies coming out at once, I kind of just they all like delete each other.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Well, so watch Shaun of the Dead at some point, or definitely pick up and watch. I think Hot Fuzz was on Amazon not too long ago. I don't know if it still is or not, but
I'll have to.
All right. So we have gone through our lists. We are down to our absolute favorite post 1960 comedy. Lay it on me, sir.
All right. Well, mine, we're going to go all the way back to 1964. We're getting
Okay.
close right there. Now, this movie is not only a movie, it's not only my number one for this time period, but it is also many other famous comedians, including like Mike Myers and such that we've been talking about. They
Uh-huh.
would probably list it as their favorite first movie as well. Um, it's a Blake Edwards movie.
Okay.
And again, Pink Panther movies being on my honorable mentions.
Mhm.
You have, of course, Peter Sellers. The movie is called The Party. It is one of
That
the
sounds familiar.
it is one of the funniest movies I have ever seen. Peter Sellers. Now, again, in PC world, this may not hold up, but Peter Sellers plays a man of Indian descent, not Native American Indian, but Indian,
Okay.
who goes to Hollywood to try and make it big, and he ends up futzing up the big finale scene in the movie. And so the director says, take his name down and never have him work in this town again. And so the name ends up getting jumbled and put on the list of invitations to the director's party that night. And so he gets a invitation to the director's party, and he goes there, and it's just all the rest of it takes place in the first floor of this guy's house, and it's just all these funny little Peter Sellers isms. Peter Sellers definitely was walking to the beat of a different drummer, and
Yeah.
it is just really funny. And then you have the beautiful, yet little did we know, soon to be deadly Claudette Longet playing
Oh.
the, playing the romantic lead in the movie, even singing one of the songs, which was a Burt Bacharach song in the movie. The movie is. I know Mike Myers for a while was trying to remake it. I'm really, really happy that it's never come to fruition.
Yeah.
Um, it is just classic cinema, and it is to me, it is really the launching point of that '70s blockbuster era for comedies.
Yeah.
In that way, and really, I have to say that I think that very few Blake Edwards films are funny,
Yeah.
but they have their moments. You know what I mean? Like Arthur's funny, but there's dead parts to it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There was one that Howie Mandel was in that was just absolutely horrendous. That one was really bad. And it really wasn't Howie's fault. It was just that Blake Edwards was going through a divorce, and I don't think he was feeling pretty funny at that point. But yeah, but it's like the party is just it just goes on, and, for an hour and a half. It is just funny after funny after funny.
Wow.
And Peter Sellers is much funnier than any Inspector Clouseau movie. So if you like a Pink Panther, or you like the
Yeah.
Inspector Clouseau movies, definitely watch The Party.
So I just looked it up, and I want to say that scene where all of the soap bubbles.
Yep.
I want to say that looks familiar, but I can't place the movie.
They even have like the soap bubbles happen because there's a river running through the first floor of this guy's house. So one of the funny things is that he loses his shoe, and he goes through the whole party following his shoe down the river, trying to get his shoe back. And then somebody pours the bubbles into the river, and then they bring in an elephant, and the elephant's marching around the party. Yes, a real
Of course,
elephant
as you do.
marching around the party. It's a Hollywood party,
Yeah.
and it's all like dressed up like as if it just was like on the cast of Laughing, to give you an
Oh,
idea.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it has all
Yeah,
the
yeah, with all the
sets and designs. And so somebody says that's really horrible, or Claudine Logette, she says that's horrible. He's not, that's so mean to the elephant. And so next thing you know, the elephant's in the pool, and they're washing the elephant, washing everything off the elephant, and then somebody's put the soap gets in and then the bubbles are everywhere. I mean, it's just
Oh, okay. Okay. That's
one thing
awesome.
after another, but it is just funny. It is hilarious.
That's awesome. Well, good pick. I like that one. And again, not familiar with it, so I'll put it on my list.
Thank you.
So my number one, my absolute favorite second set comedy is from 2005. It's The 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell. Have you ever seen this?
Yes.
It is so bad. I mean, the language and the subject matter and everything in it. But I love every character in this movie. It's Jane Lynch. I mean, I can't even name all of the people that were in it. But we actually went and saw that at the theater and laughed our butts off. And now, anytime it comes on, I'm watching it. And of course, if it was broadcast, it's a lot of beeps. But it's still just when they go speed dating, and then later on when the girlfriend shows up with her man's, I found you speed dating, and you need to keep her on a leash.
Well, it really, I think, is the culmination of that. It was like an era with Judd Apatow, who is a student of comedy as well as makes comedy himself. I mean, he had all of his bit players in it. Of course, Seth Rogen, Paul
Yeah,
Rudd, Steve Carell being brought in as well for this. I really, Judd Apatow is hit or miss for me.
I
This
agree.
movie, this movie, I think, is really funny and really well done, and I think
So
it was well. It's as you say, it's like especially for the time, it was a weird subject matter,
yeah,
but it really, again, Steve Carell playing it with heart is
yeah,
what
for sure.
makes it. That's what makes it, makes it from E to ooh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and it's all about finding your person, and I thought this was just a great example of what that could be like, and especially, I mean, I had toys, I have wrapped in the box toys that I could so much of it, but oh, whenever
It,
the old Indian man with the foul mouth, I'm like, oh my god.
that and that's really kind of a secret to a great comedy is having these just really kind of random characters. I
Yeah,
mean, none of them made my list, but I still enjoy sitting down watching a Sandler movie every once in a while.
yeah.
And those comedic movies, half of it is just the entourage that's in it with them. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
these offbeat characters that pop in and out. I mean, like Waterboy, you can do it. I mean,
Yeah.
just randomness. Um, and that's and I really feel that this Judd Apatow movie, because he does that with a lot of his movies. Again, like you said, with Simon Pegg as well and Nick Frost, like they were in those
Hmm.
movies together. You kind of get this nugget of where people are and what they can do, and
Right.
I
And
think
what you can get out of them.
yes, and I think 40-Year-Old Virgin, especially with Steve Carell, man, is courageous.
Yeah.
He will. I was just watching Netflix. They just Tina Fey did a very like a passion project. She just redid the four seasons.
I
Um,
saw. I didn't know what that was, but I saw an ad for it.
it's a remake of an Alan Alda movie
I
from the
thought so
'70s.
because it was Alan Alda and was it Jane Fonda?
No,
I can't remember. But anyway, I know I saw that and I was like, man, I can remember that movie.
but it's uh, uh, I'm just putting it in here because I wanted. I think Sandy Dennis is in that one too. The Four Seasons original movie. Yeah, Alan Alda, Carol Burnett,
Carol Burnett. Okay.
Rita Moreno,
Oh,
Sandy Dennis. Yep, and then Bess Armstrong, Yeah, I mean it's like it's funny because of course the remake, they kind of changed a little bit of the dynamic of the couples,
uh-huh.
but it's about basically three couples, and one of the couples decides to divorce. and then how
Oh,
everybody, and they're all friends, and how suddenly now these
who
other two
gets who?
characters are bouncing between the two, and the beautiful part about it is they actually had a part for Alan Alda in it, and let me tell you, he looks old.
Oh, really?
He looks really old, but he was still in it, and they still did it. It's kind of funny because I've been watching. Have you watched Hacks on
No, but
HBO?
Tina does, and she loves it.
Hacks is amazing. I think it's very, and I only watch it because Carol Lee for the comedian is a writer on it, and she
Hmm.
does have a bit part in it. Um, they just had a part where they had a cameo with Carol Burnett, and it's amazing to think Carol Burnett's still with us, but then you realize how young she was when she was doing the Carol Burnett show.
That's right.
And so it's like, very interesting. And Carol Burnett in that Four Seasons movie, which I thought was really interesting, playing one of the two that split up in the couples. So
Yeah. Wow.
another comedy didn't make my list though. You know what other one that was? I got to mention one other honorable mention if that's okay.
Okay, Mark. I'm sorry. I mean, Tobias.
Midnight Run is a really funny movie.
It is with Charles Grodin and
Robert De Niro.
Robert De
And
Niro.
And
Yep.
people don't really, it's kind of more of like an action buddy, but
Oh
it's
no, there's a lot of humor in it though.
first real buddy comedies. Like buddy comedies are just a part of the makeup now as we're going into, and especially if they have Kevin Hart and The Rock in them or whatever.
Ugh.
But it's just the two of them, they would not expect it to work. And it is just so funny, that movie.
Yeah.
And, oh God, what's his name? Joey Pants. Joe
Oh yeah, Pantaleone.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, and in him being in that movie as well, he is to me one of the unsung heroes of cinema through this whole era that we're talking about because he's
Yeah.
a character actor in a lot of these films that we're thinking about and going, and he is in and out of these films doing these characters, and he is so freaking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. He could
We
play a
should
lot of different
do a
things.
Fave Five character actors.
Oh, that could be a good one.
That would be good, though. Probably my character actors, nobody would be like, who? A Walter Pigeon? Who?
Ooh. Wow.
Man, this is great. I love your list, man. And
Well, thank you. I like yours.
I know where your funny bone lies now.
That's it. That's it. And you know what's funny for me is like with Steve Carell. Okay, I love The Office to begin with, but I feel like near his end, he was doing the same thing that Tim Allen was doing on Home Improvement. How can you make the same stupid mistakes over and over and over again and never learn from them?
I have I have to say The Office, what saves The Office for me is John Krasinski,
Yes,
whatever you say, because his character and him and Pam
Pam. Yeah.
really become the focus, and it's like Steve Carell is just comic relief.
Hmm.
But it's just like I have to agree that it kind of felt like about halfway through, The Office kind of jumps the shark, and Steve
Yeah.
Carell is just a variation of a theme of a goofball.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't like. That's why I love Big Bang Theory so much, is because all of those characters changed, but they
Yeah.
all changed organically, as
Yes.
as people would do when surrounded by friends who help them open up. You know?
I think it's really, and that's I never saw this before. My wife started watching on Netflix the How I Met Your Mother,
Yes.
and I never really ever gave that the time of day. And I sat down watching it, and I was just floored with how funny that was,
Yeah.
and how Doogie Howser,
Yeah. Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris, thank you. How I'm sorry, I know he hates being called that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He really steals the show, and that's also a character that can fall into that trap, and that's really a trap that like Jimmy Walker in Good Times.
Yeah.
Good Times was supposed to be about a family, and he was just there to keep it light. Suddenly became the Jimmy Walker Show, and
Right.
like that same sort of thing with Neil Patrick Harris. It could have really been much more about him, but that though there was clowning around, but they also gave him heart.
Yeah.
Like the whole storyline that basically created Cobra Kai, where he talks
Yeah.
about William Zabka being the hero of Karate Kid, and Daniel being the villain. I mean,
Right.
it's like, but when he at the end, when William Zabka is the clown and rubs his,
Yeah.
and you just see his face, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like that little
Well,
bit of heart that I think really sends that character from just being a clown to like being a little more depth.
yeah. Yeah. And it's like I tried to watch How I Met Your Father, and I just couldn't get into it. Just couldn't get into it.
It's
But
the
there's a funny little skit with the two actors who play the kids who are and it's like at the very end of it, and I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but you don't really get to see the mom at the end. It's kind of like, oh, there she is with her yellow umbrella or whatever, and that's how I met her. But it's these two guys. I mean, this guy and the girl. They film it like as soon as it was over, and they're like, "Wait, that's it? That's how you? That story would have taken us 5 minutes. We've been here for 3 days straight. I've been peeing in a cup, so I couldn't get away." It's really funny, and it's the same two actors.
It's funny because I mean, there's only a few ways to end a show, and if, it's either the Newhart ending where you wake up and it was all a dream, or and I know that they just ended Roseanne, the revival of Roseanne, which I
Okay.
guess they changed to the Connors after they kicked her off,
Right.
and and at the end it was really interesting because they never mentioned. Remember they had an oops baby at the
Uh-huh.
end of the first run. No mention of that kid at all, as if it didn't even exist.
It's like Chuck from Happy Days.
Yes, exactly. Man, this is great. I always enjoy talking with you, man, and
Me too, brother.
I love these shows. I love listening to the shows, and folks, if you're not following Fave Fives podcast, hit that subscribe button and hit that, because there's a lot. The gamut is just very wide. What
Yes.
everybody
We cast a wide net.
So, have you ever had anybody, or have you done? Because I have to say, I haven't gotten super deep into your catalog.
Sure.
But have you ever done the Fave Five Star Wars movies?
Okay. No, because there were only like 9.
But there's
No,
not. There's Rogue One.
Yeah,
Now,
but I mean, back then. So what we did is we did Fave Five Star Wars moments
moments. Okay.
to pick from it, and that's one of my favorite stories because I bring on this young lady. Her name's Scout. She's literally half my age. And when we get down to the end, and it's her number one, it's the pod race scene from Phantom Menace, and I'm like, oh, "Are you serious? How can that?" Tell me your story. And she tells the story about how, she saw a young Anakin doing things that everybody said he couldn't do. Nobody really paid attention to him, and all of the things that made up the Anakin. And she said that was a lot of what her life was like. And so when she sees him get up there and win, she goes, it just kind of made me feel like, I can do stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, see, that's why I love this show, because what I just really dislike, you love with a passion, with a great reason for loving it.
Yeah.
So
That's
shout out to Scout.
That's what I only asked because it's like I just watched Andor.
Oh yeah.
It's really amazing because obviously it's really easy to kind of Monday morning quarterback
Right.
it because they already have Rogue One, which is the next step. But
Yeah.
it really is amazing how they like really launch you right in. Like and I guess for the believe it or not, 10 years next year for Rogue One.
It's
they're going
crazy.
to release it in the theater as a double feature with Andor without.
Really?
You're going to see Andor in its entirety, and then you're going to go right into Rogue One. So
Wow.
I think I
See,
may actually do the theater for that one just to
that's
sit through
that's
it.
great. Rogue One has quickly become one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
It
It's just amazing.
it's amazing, and I've really enjoyed Andor, and there's a lot of people complaining. I'm like, but look, first
Yeah.
of all, two things. A, somebody once asked, what would it be like if Ridley Scott had directed a Star Wars movie? There you go. It's
Oh,
Andor.
okay.
Second of all, in Clerks, when they're the famous Brian Halloran and I forget his name, when they're talking
Talk
and
about
they're,
the workers on the
what about the workers on the Death Star? We got the show now.
yeah,
I said it's all Kevin Smith's fault because he mentioned it, and they're like,
exactly.
let's do it. I can't wait to meet Kevin because I just want to thank him for that. I want to be like, it's because of you we got Andor and you because
Very true. It's very true.
he's actually, believe it or not, Kevin Smith has signed two of my pieces in person. Has taken
Really?
my information off of the back of each piece that he signed, saying he wants me to make him one. Is yet to contact me.
Ah, wow.
I'm hoping one day.
Yeah. Well, he's a huge fan of this show, so maybe he'll reach out.
I hope so. I hope so. I wonder what his fave five would be.
I don't know, but he knows some stuff, man. I mean,
Yeah.
comics and Star Wars and just movies. Just like him and Tarantino. I'd love
Yeah.
to sit down and talk to the two of them about movies.
Gosh.
They would blow me away. I'm sure.
Tarantino would probably be it'd be a lot of like Hong Kong cinema and
Mhm.
black
Yeah.
exploitation films and stuff that you'd have to find on physical media.
Right. Right. And he's got that wonderful show that I forget what it's called, but he does it with another guy. And they basically took one of the last video stores. He bought everything and they rebuilt it in like a basement or something. And so that's what they do is they'll pull a movie and they'll talk about it.
So
But
I just heard you worked at a video store for a little bit.
yes, National Video in Alexandria.
Have you seen there was this clip that CBS Sunday Morning did? There's this young lady who is developmentally disabled. And part of her daily routine was it was basically one of the last video stores open.
Okay.
And she would go to this video store and she would rent a video and take it home and watch it with her lunch. That was like her daily routine. As you know, people with disabilities like that, they get into their routines and they have to kind of do it every day.
Okay.
And so the fellow who owned the video store also owned the convenience store next door, and the video store just was not making money anymore. Nobody was going in there, so he shut it down. He actually moved the freezers up about 5 feet and created a little closet, named it after the young lady, and
What?
put in all of her favorite movies that she's rented so that mom can still bring her there, rent her movie. And mom says, like, look, she she loves Mulan. I have the DVD of Mulan at home. She won't watch it on the home DVD. She has to come to the store, get it, and then she'll bring it home and enjoy it. So
That's hilarious.
it's just really
Sweet
amazing.
too.
You just you don't think about things like that with businesses such as like
Right.
video rental, but here's just this one young lady whose life would have been upended if
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, folks, I think that concludes the countdown of our favorite post 1960 comedies. I'd like to thank Tobias for taking the time to compile your list, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to have it.
Of course, of course. And also, we want to thank you out there for choosing to listen and watch to Fave 5 from Fans. We're thrilled that you joined us and hope you had a fantastic time. If you enjoy the podcast, we would be incredibly grateful if you share it with a friend and give us that glowing 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us, and it helps the Plastic Microphone Studios grow and thrive. And even if you don't like the show, if you didn't maybe meet your expectations, just leave us a review anyway. Just, it's 5 stars. Nobody's going to check on it. Just put it on there. So connect with us on social media platforms like X, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anywhere, and keep the conversation going. Let us know what your favorite post 1960s comedies are and why. We would love to hear from you. And if you leave a comment, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. New episodes come out every Friday, unless they don't. So be sure to subscribe and to follow us so that you can catch all of the episodes. And remember, folks, it may not be the best. It may not be the most popular. But if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. Thanks so much for joining us. Tobias, take us out.
I will tell you that I would do my favorite 5 moments from a Twilight movie just to have another 2 hours to shoot the breeze with you. I will say this. I just found out earlier today that we lost a comedic genius.
George Wendt.
Mr. George Wendt.
Yeah.
So to lead us out, I will tell you this. I will say this. Norm, how's life in the fast lane? I don't know. I think I'm on the exit ramp. I'm going to miss George
Good
Wendt.
stuff. Yeah, I just actually got to meet Ratzenberger just like a couple months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Take care.